Gregor, you've named your team. I wonder, how much did you look at the team that Wales named yesterday, or was this always a team that you sort of had in mind as the game during the year?
Yeah, we told the players yesterday what the team was going to be. We obviously had most of it in mind as we went into the weekend. We'd had a pretty robust week of training, so we got to see which players were available and fit, who trained well, combinations that had worked well. And then Monday just finalising in our thoughts before we told the players yesterday.
I'm not sure how many of us, when trying to predict your team, had Chris Harris in the centre. He got involved in the autumn. I guess that's just as a reflection of his play this season. Yeah,
it has been. We've been really impressed with him overall. He's been very consistent. I think defensively stood out, and it's a massive part of winning games, being successful is having a strong defence. So he's shown that this year. We've been really impressed with him in the last 2 or 3 weeks before coming to camp. And with the unavailability of Alexton Barr and Duncan Taylor, he gets an opportunity to start for us at 13. The fact that Hugh Jones has played recently at 12 and played very well for Western Province in the Currie Cup gave us opportunity to see how they combined the training, and they've done really well.
The front row has obviously been a big talking point with the number of injuries you've suffered in the build-up. I guess an experience just won the day in the end for the guys going in from the start.
Yeah, no, we have had injuries. We'd injuries in November, and players that were uncapped really stood up well and grabbed their opportunities. Obviously Darryl, who played so well in November, isn't available now, but Jamie Batty is, and he was outstanding in November. But we've also got players coming back that are available to us, and Gordon Reid specifically. And John Welsh has been very consistent for Newcastle. He can't wait to play for Scotland again. The way he's trained, the way he's prepared has been excellent to see. And on the other side, and Gordy has really hit form since he missed November with being out for 3 months. And we've been really impressed with his scrummaging. We believe we've got a really strong scrummaging unit with 2 players that can scrum and also add impact off the bench, and Jamie and Murray McCallum in the loose in the second half.
You've spoken about Cornel Dupree in the last maybe 12-18 months, starting to find his form, getting free of injuries and to show what he can really do. I presumably think he's ready to now take that into Scotland. Yeah,
and he showed that in November. He's been showing it for Edinburgh all season. He played really well in November. He came off the bench against Samoa, started against New Zealand, came off the bench against Australia. We've seen another level of play as well since then, especially in defence. I thought he fronted up really well against Stade Francais in Paris in a tough game a couple of weeks ago. And given the fact that he's playing regularly and Ryan Wilson hasn't played over the last month or so, we feel that's a really good combination for us. But also pleasingly, Ryan has trained well. We had a full contact day last week, and he came through that. He's an important player for us, so to have him involved in the squad is a boost.
Natalie Price starts ahead of Greg Laidlaw. How tight a call was that?
Look, every call takes a lot of thought and debate and discussion. We take our jobs as selectors very seriously, and we know we've got a responsibility to put the team we believe will help win out there, but also to the players to make sure that we take our time in those discussions. I think it was always going to be very tight for Greg. I think he's done really well to be in our squad, to come back from injury a week ago, just at the weekend. The week before he came off the bench, which was ahead of schedule, which was great. To play 80 minutes at the weekend showed to us that he was capable of coming back into our squad, which obviously was good news for Greg, but good news for us.
Gregor, what is it about this 23 you believe makes them perfectly positioned to break this run of defeats in Cardiff?
Well, they've obviously played well since the last time we played in Cardiff, consistently, especially in 2017. They've trained really well, so what I see in the most recent evidence is they're able to train at a pace and intensity that can match the best teams in the world, that can go to places like Cardiff and put on a really good performance. and they're together. We feel there's a real togetherness that has been built up for a while now, but it comes out in the way they talk to each other, the way they work hard for each other.
How much mental strength do you need to get a victory in a place like Cardiff?
Yeah, you'll need a lot. You'll need a lot of physical strength, a lot of fitness. Test match rugby is tough. The mental side of it, yeah, that's a challenge as well for our players, because away from home, it's going to be noisier for the opposition. There's going to be times throughout the Six Nations where we'll have to come together. We'll have to know what the right thing to do is. We know we'll have to pick each other up and carry on with our energy and our enthusiasm that will be needed. And also we'll need players, specifically key leaders for us to step up and make big decisions throughout the 80 minutes. And we've been really encouraged by the growth of leaders throughout our group. When you see someone like Finn Russell leading meetings, talking a lot about how we're going to play, when you've got vice captains and Johnny Gray and Stuart Hogg, and one side of either side of the field, you've got John Bartley doing an outstanding job as captain. And then when you look at our bench, you've got people with real leadership experience. Grant Gilchrist, formerly named Scotland captain, Ryan Wilson, who's been captain of the club, other players like Peter Horn, Sean Maitland, a lot of experience, and obviously Greg, who's been captain of Scotland the last 2 or 3 seasons.
Those 2 away defeats in last year's championships, quite big black marks against Scotland in terms of their progression. Do you need a win in a place like Cardiff to start being taken seriously?
I think you need to win away from home if you've got any. If you've got realistic ambitions of winning the championship, and every team's going to have that same challenge. There was only one team that won away from home last year that wasn't in Rome, and that was done in the last 2 or 3 minutes. So every team's aware how tough it is to win away from home in this championship, as are we. But we've got to go in there believing we can and doing all we can during that 80 minutes to win.
What are you expecting from Wales, Greg? In recent times they've had a lot of success against Scotland with big, physical, direct style, but they seem to be shifting the focus a little bit and look to play a bit more expansively. Do you think they might revert to type? I know Warren Gatland's already said he might look to exploit Scotland's problems up front with injuries.
Well, we'll see. I think Wales had certainly passed the ball more than they've ever done before, and they were passing the ball more than any other team in World Rugby during the November series. They're still very direct though, so they will go through the first couple of phases being direct, then they will look to pass the ball more than they've done before, and it's a template they're believing in. They want their game to move towards that. It's a challenge for our defence, but whatever the Wales are going to come, we've got to be strong. We've got to go hunting after them to make sure that we get the ball back for ourselves. And the best ball you can play off is forcing turnovers. Now, if the opposition are going to try and play more, that means there's more opportunities for us to get turnovers.
They've been forced into quite a number of changes. Do you see that changing the style they play with?
Well, that's the big question. I think they obviously have picked a lot of Scarlets players now. Whether they would have picked them before they got these injuries, who knows? But the Scarlet style is different. There's a lot of cohesion now in their group when you've got 10 or 11 Scarlets players in the squad, and they'll be used to playing a different way or playing a way that's been successful for them. So we'll see. I think it all adds up to being a real fascinating contest and what should be an open game of rugby.
Scarlets tend to play quite a familiar game, or similar to the one you brought into Glasgow. Will obviously pose different challenges to the more direct Warren ball type of rugby they played before?
Yeah, I think every team wants to go forward, so I think you go forward and you get over the gain line, and if you create quick ball, you're going to have more chance of then exploiting the wider channels. So whatever style or whatever way Wales play, we've got to adapt to it and make sure that we turn it into positives and turn it into ways that we can score points.
There hasn't been much Scottish representation in Warren Gatland's 2 spells as Lions head coach. Do you get a sense from any of the guys that were perhaps overlooked, or guys like Finn Russell, who was taken out on the tour and didn't see much action? There's a little bit of extra motivation for them to prove a point to him?
No, nothing I've heard. So whether they're talking in the corridors in the rooms about it, I've never heard that. The one, what I have heard is probably the insight into the coaching. So Warren and Rob were coaches for Greg and Tommy, Stewart and Finn that are involved in our squad now, and no, there's nothing apart from that. The guys are very proud to play for Scotland. They know what a big game this is for us, and that's all the motivation you need.
We're speaking to him later, but Byron McGuigan obviously had a dream debut. Is that simply a reward for that?
That and the way he trained with us and the way he's played for Sale, that was obviously a very difficult decision, because Sean Maitland's been an excellent player for Scotland and has been playing well. I thought he played really well against Northampton at the weekend, and he did well coming back into to playing at fullback against Australia too. So we're delighted that we have players on form, players we know that are on the bench that can come on and add to our game as well. But it's a reward for how Byron's played, how he trained with us, how he played in that game against Australia, and how he's played since for Sale.
Okay, we'll just move on to the written print section now, thanks. No, so we've got to try and conclude it.